Okay, so this is Game Design 2, Week 11, Fall 2019, and hopefully we're going to be building a dialogue system that works well. Or we might just throw in the towel. Okay, so I want to have, we're going to be assessing B here and in here. We should probably have a public character, first speaker. And we're going to make it equal to B. Like that. And so the idea is that we will be able to evaluate what this single character is. And we'll say if the first character is equal to first speaker, then put this text on the left side of the screen. This is the screen, right? This will be the first speaker, person 1. This will be person 2. And usually it'll be like, maybe we can change this. So that the player goes up to the NPC and says, NPC says what? And the NPC says what? And because they're the NPC, right? That's the dumb joke. And so in the future, if we had Darth Vader, we'd say D: join me on the dark side, right? And then you say L for Luke, right? L: I'll never join you, you killed my father. I'll show you in a second what it looks like, but this is the stuff. And this is all that NPC text has. And if you hit save and then you go back to Unity and look at the NPC, we want to have this script on the NPCs, both of them. Then we should be able to mess with this in the inspector because they are public. Exactly. Yep. And really, we didn't need to have that collection initializer. It's just in there to help us understand what's supposed to happen. So right here we have this. First speaker is P, element 0, P, element 1. So P for player, N for NPC. So that's on this one. I'm going to go ahead and add NPC text to this one and change it. So let's go to that same one. The first speaker is going to be D for Darth Vader. And we'll say that Darth Vader says, join me. And element 1 says Luke, right? And he says, I'll never join you. You killed my father. What a great story. We can change the size here to 4. Right? All the exclamation points.
Looking forward to the new movie?
No. I am not looking forward to the new Star Wars. I'll be right there. Okay, so we've got an error.
That just doesn't exist. And so I can't have it.
Yep. Yep. Cool. How's it going, gentlemen? It's usually an error in a different script. Until you fix all the errors, new stuff doesn't show up. So comment it out, or delete it, or whatever else you need to do. do you think?
I think I got too little sleep last night.
No, but it works.
Cool.
We just need the trigger to start the script.
Correct. Okay, so we're going to build a few things. The next thing I want to build is going to be the UI. So I'm going to build 2 panels. Not like that. Like this. So I'm naming it left panel and right panel. Say that again? Yes, this is where the dialogue will pop up. So you're going to right click in here. You're going to go to UI.
Okay.
And panel is down at the bottom.
Yeah. Okay, whoa.
And then inside each one of these panels, you're going to right click UI and Text Mesh Pro text. Or we could just use regular text, but it's better to use Text Mesh Pro in my opinion. So I'm going to use that. With UI, make sure you're always using rectangles. I move this into position. Gonna rename this text second speaker. I'm gonna make sure I've got an outline on both of these. I'm actually using a different font. So annoying.
the alignment. What's that middle button? We want to align it in the center instead of on the edges. So that's good. Carry on.
Alright, thank you. Where is that?
How's it going? You good?
Yeah, I'm just wondering what the construction is.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, everything's set up, ready to go.
Okay. Okay. So we've got the text where we want it to be. Hopefully it's named what we want to name it. I suppose we can make it public and that wouldn't hurt anything really. It's better to not have things be public. It's better to hard code in things like this, but we'll live. So I'm going to turn 2D mode off. I'm going to go to my FPS controller. And I'm going to add a player controller. I've got so many player controllers that I'm naming mine player dialogue. And maybe this will just control the dialogue.
With conversation controller.
Yeah.
Yeah, because now I can't tell which one's which anymore because of how many player controllers I got.
Yeah. So we need a void on trigger enter. And if other.gameObject.compare tag is equal to NPC. So NPC stands for non-player character. It's a pretty common TLA or three-letter acronym. So what are we going to do if we run into the other player? Let's go ahead and make a list of strings, current dialogue, and we'll say that current dialogue is equal to other.getComponent. Let's be clear about this. GameObjects.get components NPC texts dot dialogue. What's the problem here? Okay, I think you're just being drunk. I know we haven't used lists very often, but we're just saying that this list is equal to the other list. So it'll have the same values, it'll have the same strings, and every time we hit an NPC, it'll update to be whatever that most recent one is. So because the player dialogue is going to control all the text, if this ever gets to be too much, y'all can just go home and watch this later. This is untoward. Public tm text mesh pro UGUI, and this will be first speaker. Actually, I'm just going to put them all on the same line. Also going to have a char first speaker initial. All right, I added this line of text too, so make sure you don't miss that one.
See, Elaine? I tried. I didn't. Yeah. Let me know if you need anything. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I gotta build some more stuff.
Let's see, what do we got? We got first initial, we've got this. And then we also need yeah. Ugh. I hate it when I have to just type a whole bunch of stuff before it's ready to go. But this is sadly the way it goes with programming. It just, sometimes it takes a long time.
It's okay. We're fine.
Okay, so the idea is we're going to turn the canvas on when we run into this NPC. And we need to tell the first text to be what it is. So we get to that current dialogue. Yeah, that way. So we're going to say that first speaker dot text is equal to current dialogue of 0. And I think if we try this out right here as is, it should do quote unquote something. So I'm going to freeze that. I'm going to test it in my own Unity project. And when you get done, you'll have to do a few drag and drop things to get the game objects to be right. But then hopefully the idea is that you run into something, run into an NPC and get some text to happen.
Set canvas to.
The canvas. Actually, I'll put that in void start.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah. In void start, I'll turn that canvas off. So that looks like this. Oh, yeah, we're going to need to add an NPC tag. Thank you for that. Okay, seems to work fine for me. I will add an on-trigger exit. Yeah, you're gonna need a trigger. I'll show you this on-trigger exit part in a minute. Don't worry about it for now if you're still typing this code. Y'all working on this on-trigger exit stuff? So on-trigger exit, as soon as you leave that NPC area, we'll just turn the dialogue system off. And that might mean that we make our trigger slightly bigger than normal, like at 1.5, just so we can have some wiggle room. Why am I not? What's it say?
It says NPC does not
This is the other one. Looks good.
That'll be it. All right, so I'm going to leave the code. I'm going to put the code away for a second. What it should look like when you hit play. There should be no canvas. Should be able to look around. Should be walk over to this person. D, join me. And when you leave, it turns off. When you walk over to the other person, it says NPC says what. And when you leave, it goes away. This is what you should get. I turned my text on the first speaker and the text second speaker to nothing. So that the secondary text didn't like show up that L, I'll never join you. What's your question? Okay, so let's go to our code. Let's make sure we turn that off on start. Oh, yeah, you've got some drag and drop stuff to do.
Okay,
So click on your FPS controller, scroll down to restrict. See these three? You have to drag and drop those.
Okay, so
First speaker,
this one.
and you've got second speaker.
Oh, yeah.
You need to go back to your code. Yep. This needs to be a text message for like you on.
Dot or
No, not a dot.
or.
It's just a different variable type, like this.
Okay, you. And should be able to.
Working for you?
Yeah. No text showing up on the second screen, but
That shouldn't happen yet. We don't have that yet.
good. Oh.
Yeah, good.
Yep.
Awesome. Jada, good? Zach, good?
Yeah.
Copy.
Wasn't
with
the
your
target.
So this next one's kind of interesting. So you see how we used current dialogue of 0. So computers start counting at 0, they don't start counting at 1. So the first item on our list is 0. Second one is 1, the third one is 2, blah, 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 so on and so forth. What we're going to do is we're going to just have a index. It's going to be an integer. So int index is equal to 0 to start. And we're just going to add 1 to index every time we get some text. And then we'll probably have an if statement that checks where it goes. Sometimes the first speaker is going to say 2 or 3 things. Maybe they'll say all the things. Maybe it'll be a Zelda situation where Link never says anything. By the way, that's a valid way to do things. If the player character doesn't say anything, then the actual human being who's playing can put their own thoughts into there. As opposed to, so Dishonored is one of my favorite games. And in Dishonored 1, they had a silent protagonist. You played this kind of quiet person who didn't say anything. But in the second game, the protagonist actually said things, and I hated his attitude. It was like, that's not what I would say there. That's terrible. Like, this is a really stupid line. And so it can be actually just a detriment to your game if the player doesn't connect with what the player character says. It's things I think about. I'm a big fan of silent protagonists.
Doom, I think, has a silent protagonist.
Yeah, Half-Life 2,
Oh yeah.
a whole bunch.
Seriously, the remake for Doom was pretty gory, but
Oh.
it was good.
Pokemon.
Yeah. Which one?
Pokemon.
Pokemon.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yup.
Uh,
I don't think you ever hardly even after. Hey, a certain minute, so I mean fish. That's good, I guess.
Coroutines.
Co-routines?
Good way to for the timing for the texts.
We'll have it. We could. Yeah, you totally could. We'll make the user do each one.
Okay, so it would. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to take this line here, and I'm going to put it in this new function, and I'm going to call continue dialogue. But I'm also, because we're doing on trigger enter, I want to make sure that index is equal to 0. Start over the dialog. Dialog is such a hard word to spell. So many vowels. Okay, so if current dialog index 0 is equal to first speaker initial speaker dot text is equal to current dialog of index, else second speaker dot text is equal to current dialog of index. Okay, so this is one's going to get a little deep. This is some stuff that if you had taken C++, you'd be all over this, but you're not, so you don't have that. So we have a list of strings, and we get to each individual box with an index, 0, 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to say that this is join me, and this is never, and this is I am father, and this is no. Okay, so each item in the list, index of 0 is join me, index of 1 is never, index of 2 is I am father, index of 3 is no. Does that make sense enough? That you get to each one of these strings by saying current dialog and then a number. So this part that's really weird is this one, specifically this part right here. Because a string is just a list of characters. So if a character is a single letter, right? So if we have a string, we have 0, 1, 2, 3. And if we had this one, for example, D : join me, right? The first character is D. The second character is the colon. The third character is a space. The fourth character is a J. And then it would be O, and then I, and then N. Okay? And that's what's going on here. So I get this first time, right? Index is 0. So I get 0, 0. And the current dialog is a list of strings. And so I get the first one, so that's this guy. And then furthermore, inside that, I use the same 0 here to get this guy. And so I'm trying to see if D is equal to the first speaker initial, which should be D. Okay? And so I'm trying to check if D equals D, put this first speaker.text in current dialog, whatever. And if that's not true, because on the second time through, when index is equal to 1, we're doing this one. And so that first one's going to be an L. So if L equals D, it does not. So we do the else statement, which means that the second speaker gets this text, which is Luke says never. Yeah? Okay. It's fancy, right? It's pretty crazy stuff to follow through. Yeah. Do y'all know about this operator? Plus plus? So it just means add 1. Just whatever it is, add 1 to it. You can do the same with minus minus, but we're just going to say every time we hit continue dialog, We're going to add 1. We're so close to being done, by the way. So let's go ahead and add a void update. If you already have one, use that one. If input.get key down, keycode dot, let's have E for this one. Now at some point this is going to throw an error, but this might work to get through all of your dialogue. Try it out. So you're going to run into this guy and you're going to press E.
Well, interesting errors, but not what I was expecting.
Do what you wanted first before the errors?
Nope. Okay, so join me, empty text. I hit it, and then it goes to join me on the right as well.
Oh, that's not right at all.
Then it keeps going. This has an updated period.
Ooh, okay, that is broken. All right, let me try mine out. Is anybody still typing? Doesn't look like it. Zach, are you?
No.
All right. I'm going to keep an eye on my console and see what kind of errors it might bring up. Okay, mine appears to work correctly. Join me. I'll never join you. No, Luke, I am your father. That's not true. I don't know why it says join me again. That's kind of weird. Huh. Okay. It's progress-ish. Does anybody else have that? Jada, is that what you've got? Alright, I'll come check in Jada. You guys know reference exception. Let's single click on that. Okay, let's go ahead. That looks right. Click on our text first. Let's go back to play. Don't maximize on play. Scroll all the way down to play. Okay, going to Okay, you don't have a shear collider on here that is a trigger. And you'll want that.
Okay, so
Alright, Jada,
so
what's
I
up?
will have
Well, that was there. What about the other one? The other one's got more text, right? Ah.
public, so we changed it. We updated for just that one. Instead of true, x goes 0, this is in the wrong spot. That goes. Oh. Cool, that should work. Dan, does it work?
Yep.
When I start, I load. But when I start, it pops up. But when I run the EC then it pops right through. Bump into it. Yeah.
So in void start, you have it turning off?
Yeah. So I can walk in. Goes in. Hit E first, and the other.
Those shouldn't be triggers. We shouldn't be able to run through them.
Okay.
And then show me your code. Yep, so you're missing something and I'll show you. Okay.
That's what it is. That. That would be.
Okay, so that's easy. NPC is not defined. So select one of your NPCs, get turn timer off. Tag. Add NPC.
Okay, so let's talk about the next thing, and then I'll help you, Logan. The next thing's pretty chill. It's basically up here at the top. Do I want this? Oh, that's why it keeps going every time. Okay, see this line of code? I hate it and I don't want to do it. This needs to go back. This was resetting things every time we call continue dialogue. It sets the first speaker.text to the original. So I'm going to put this back where it was. I'm going to say that index is equal to 1. And I'm going to take continue dialogue out of there. So when we do an on-trigger enter, it's going to start the dialogue. So just like that. This is in the on-trigger enter, by the way. And then if index is equal to current dialogue dot size. So this is how many items are in dialogue. Maybe it's not size, maybe it's count. Length, count, it's count. Return. That's gonna be too fancy if I don't add this. Y'all freak out. Brains will explode. Don't need that. Okay. Does everybody have this one yet? Okay, get that one first, and then we'll go to this other change down here. I'm just gonna write. Hey.
So can I bribe you with like happy hour later to give me a ride home?
I think so. Oh, to your house, which isn't in Newton anymore?
No.
Totally.
Downtown.
Easy.
Downtown. Forshade is on the way, and they have like happy hour from 4 to 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll do something like that. Here, walk over here.
Yeah. You're going home at what, 3:30 or something, right?
I mean, what time?
Swap, right? Swap. W, not a C. Okay, so still going on. So the second player is on A, and it's up to you to vote. So your code has got to be different than ours. Louder. Wait, that was your. Something different? Okay, I have a cool thing. I want to check. Okay.
Okay, you know how we have that first initial and we're like trying to set the first initial?
Yeah.
I think that's dumb, and I don't want to do it the way that we did it. It would be so much easier to just check what's the first initial the first time, right? So imagine that we have current dialogue here, and we get the dialogue equal to whatever we have, and then we say first speaker initial is equal to, instead of whatever we assigned it to, let's just make it equal to current dialogue of 0 of 0. Does that make sense? So that's the first letter of the first string in our list. And I think that's going to fix Logan's issue with it always being different, because it's probably really easy to go to npc.text and have this public character first speaker be the wrong thing. What if it was C accidentally, or B? Let's just get rid of this. I don't need that. We're just going to figure it out by selecting whatever this first letter is. So, a couple of changes. The only important one is this one. Dan asked for some fanciness. What he asked for is, I don't want to see the D colon and space. I want that out.
No. Way to replace it with a sprite?
No, we could just, that'd be cool too. That'd be cool too, but that would be fancy and like specific.
You said he wanted fancies, or you said he wanted fancy.
This is fancy, or it's not that fancy. I actually think I would need to, could we replace it with spaces, Dan? Would that be enough? Okay, so to replace that with spaces, then under continue dialogue, we're going to create a new string. Where are we going to create this? Okay, so string new text is equal to current dialogue of index, and then we're going to say new string, no, we're going to say new text of 0 is equal to a space. Or hell, we could probably make it equal to nothing. No, we can't. Okay. And new text of 1 is equal to nothing. Why can't I do that? Property index or string this cannot be assigned to. It is read only. Why? I could do this in C++. Why can't I do it in C#? Alright, well then I can't do it. That would be the easy way. It would just replace the first two characters with the words, with the space, and then it would be a silent thing. There's, I'm sure, an easy way to edit the string of a text, and you're probably just looking for erase lines 0, 1, and 2, or characters 0, 1, and 2. But I'm going to let you figure that out, Dan.
Cool.
So we get rid of this. We don't need any of that. Okay, who needs to see what? Awesome, y'all are crushing it.
Wow. That actually works. Nice.
So that's dialogue. Let's go ahead and test something. Let's make sure that this works the way we want it to. And let's have one character, like Darth Vader, for example, or Luke, say multiple things. So I'm going to have Luke say, that's not true. And then I'm going to have Luke say, that's impossible. And then I'm going to have Luke say, no. And then I'm going to have Luke say, let's zoom in here so y'all can see this. Crying noises.
To make sure it all sticks to the right side.
To make sure it all sticks to the right side. Yeah.
Oh, wait.
So you don't have to make it like mine, Shikita. You just, yeah, works fine. I don't know if I talked about this one with the text first panel, but there's a really, really great button called auto size right here. And so if you have a lot of text, the font will get smaller to fit inside the box. And it's delightful. I love it. So I prepped, right? I prepped for this class. I was like, I should go over this before I do it in class. I went over the videos from 2 semesters ago. It did not build this. It built something a lot worse. And then I looked everywhere for last semester because I knew I did this last semester. Those videos are not anywhere. I didn't upload those. And so I came into class today and I was like, well, I didn't figure out how to do it. But I'm glad that I got it working.
Luckily your memory's good.
Yes. Luckily I,
Luckily you're
understand what's happening.
Yeah, you understand this better than any of us.
And that's it. That's all I got. Your assignment is going to be at least 3 NPCs in your current world that you're building your outdoor level with checkpoints and everything. Have them give you a quest and go off and go do that quest. I think last semester we actually had it like test to see if we accomplished that quest. It was pretty awesome. It was just a Boolean. Like, did you pick up all of these things? If so, the Boolean's true. And when you come back, the whole like dialogue system was different because you did that Boolean.
I can see how. No, okay, never mind. I was thinking of how it will go when it's.
So,
No.
So, next week, you're going to show off videos in class at the beginning of class, and your videos are going to show off, I walk up to this person, and I press E to go through the dialogue, and then I walk to the next person, show off the dialogue, walk to the third person, show off the dialogue.
okay.
So that's it.
Is it going to be on our on our old
Yes.
Okay. Alright. Yes.